Gene, you have 7.5 minutes.
Well, correcting Ben on the could and should. As I hope Riley implied, I don't think that working people are interested in the used car that Ben is trying to sell. He just got through talking about the savage inequality, the suffering of people. And then he's suddenly talking about the atomization of society and how can you reach these people? I mean, again, the problem is that maybe secretly Ben believes his own bluff is being called. The point is that if there is indeed a working class misery nationwide, as Ben likes to allude to, then it's not difficult to tap this energy, to point out the way forward, more or less like Martin Luther King did when he said, let's boycott the buses. And yet Ben seems to veer from being a Marxist firebrand to being a cynic about what is possible in society. But in fact, if you take his Marxist firebrand rhetoric seriously, then these opportunities are staring him in the face. It's a little bit, of course, ugly to deal with boycotts, not just with boycotts, by the way, Ben. You have 80% of the consumer dollar. You've got 35 trillion. You've got all that anger out there, presumably the savage inequalities and the lack of power that workers get. Well, then go for it. And yet Ben refuses to, because the next thing you know, he's talking about the atomization of society and people only vote for. Well, then maybe people don't want what you're selling, Ben. So the real test would be try to organize. We don't have a Mondragon in the U.S., built in a much poorer country. Try to build it. Roll up your sleeves. Get out of try to inspire others. You want to stay in your ivory tower? Go ahead. Now, with respect to GoFundMe, I mean, there's this gesture, which is that, you can have a little bit of capitalism, a little bit of independent financing. You just can't have any venture capital firms. And by the way, we're going to keep the Federal Reserve. We're going to keep all the centralization of financial power that Ben and I should both object to. But of course, I guess I could ask Ben a hypothetical. What if GoFundMe is the only way to finance something financially in Ben's society? Then what if it grows to $5 trillion? What if it could become now, because it's under control, because there are so many other ways. But the point is that there's the business, a little bit of capitalism, you play with that. That's good. But, don't let it get too big, because then we socialists will get upset. So we'll let you keep GoFundMe, but we won't let you keep all the other ways in which people get financing and start their own enterprise. With respect to Obama, and I know, and changing the subject with respect to whether people could be protected from the First Amendment or not, that's a separate issue that we might be able to discuss. But again, the act under which Obama was indicting people, you could get imprisoned, and indeed you could get executed. That act had executed the Rosenbergs. So it was just an indication that even a nice politician like Obama is willing to use his power. Give him the power, enhanced power over finance, and he's not going to tolerate any dissent. These are realities that should stare Ben in the face, given what he's proposing. A little bit, with respect to the atomized individuals and what the other one had to do with my idea that if you leave it to a vote in all cases, by the way, obviously most of us will not have any time in the day to vote on all the enterprises that people want. We'll obviously have to have elected representatives making up their minds about who gets funded and who doesn't. But if we want to accept that fantasy, again, I know Ben is suddenly talking about the real world in which people don't have to take it to a vote. In which you can start a deli, you can do what you want, you can exercise that freedom. But Ben only wants to leave you with a little bit of GoFundMe, although I can guarantee you that if GoFundMe becomes so popular because there are no alternatives that it grows to $5-6 trillion, Ben is going to shut it down. And no, $20 trillion, Ben, at what point are you going to stop it? No, never?
fascinating to hear you tell me what I think.
Okay, well, that's wonderful. Okay, then Ben is going to and then I guess let 1,000, but I don't know why he's going to prevent venture capital from happening, because that funds businesses that he doesn't like, because he wants to make it a criminal offense to work for a firm as a wage and salary worker. And so he doesn't want to allow that. So he's going to have a government that is going to be endlessly on the prowl to suppress our misbehavior. That way lies a dystopia. I don't even know if Ben is going to stick to his plan with respect to not allowing wage and salary labor to happen. I mean, the reason why we might want it, even if Ben's fantasy happens and workers get enthusiastic about his idea, which he, by the way, he's not the least bit in selling them, because you're just a bunch of atomized idiots. On the other hand, of course, you're filled with savage anger. But you're a bunch of atomized idiots, and therefore I don't need to bother with you to advocate what we can do with a consumer dollar and with all the trillions that you're holding. But if I would be perfectly happy to live in that society, if indeed that's what people voluntarily want. That's what they create, just like they created von Dragon. So that's fine. But then I might say, look, a lot of these companies are kind of mismanaged. I've been part of co-op apartment buildings. I've been part of landlord apartment buildings in New York City. Do you know, I actually prefer the landlord apartment buildings, because there are people who take over who are nutty, who make crazy decisions, who mismanage. So I might say, I would like to work for that guy as a wage and salary worker. Is that okay? Ben is going to say, no, go to jail, directly to jail. This is not allowed in a socialist society. And so, again, I even think, if I may over-psychologize, that Ben is a little bit fearful about the seductiveness of actually working for a capitalist firm and working under those circumstances. And clearly, he seemingly doesn't trust people to share his anger about all that totalitarianism under capitalist firms. Thank you.